Geraldo, across the pond, it seems to me a lot of Americans are as fed up with them as we are. I think you're still hanging in there as being not necessarily a fulsome supporter, but a more tolerant observer of all this. What do you make of it all?
Well, first of all, I want to say I thought of you, Piers, when Harry Kane missed that shot. I felt very bad for you and for England.
Thank you.
You know, in terms of the Netflix documentary and Harry and Meghan, and their participation and, their ongoing soap opera, I really do feel for them. And I think that the vitriol being heaped on them, the scorn is so snobby and snotty. It's having absolutely the opposite effect. I believe that they are generating some sympathy now, not because of what they're doing on the Netflix show, as much as reaction to the British tabloids and this incessant, constant, criticism. There is no doubt in my mind that they are telling the basic truth. Maybe there's a shot here that should not have been used, a stock footage of photographers and so forth. But I think the general truth emerges. They seem sincere. They seem beleaguered. They seem,
Geraldo,
in many ways,
I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
Deeply
I've got to be honest with
disappointed.
you. You are one of the people I most respect in American television news. You're a hard-bitten journalist. You're a war correspondent. And you've fallen for this guff with these two. Hook, line and sinker. Because they're the least sincere people I think I've ever met in my life. She in particular, she's an actress. She's playing a role.
She's a good actress. Yeah.
My brother, I told you, Piers, I told you how I followed Prince Harry into Helmand Province in Afghanistan and how the American Marines there and the British personnel that were still there after he had left all considered his service there to be honorable, even heroic.
No question.
So I come, as a war correspondent, I come with that bias. Here's a guy who served his country honorably, put his own life on the line. He married a woman who, for the first time in British royal history, was of mixed race. So the issue of racism and here Harry's girl straight out of Compton and all that kind of baloney, they have been assailed. I feel for them because they have been targeted in a way that I feel is very, very unfair.
Yeah, but you see, I would argue they haven't been targeted in the way that I think a lot of Americans have been led to believe they were targeted. There was no racism towards them in the mainstream media in this country. There wasn't. The papers here were euphoric about this couple.
The Daily Mail just did 20 pages on the Netflix documentary. 20 pages.
Yeah, but that's because.
Obsessive.
Yeah, but that's because.
This is obsessive.
Yeah, but Geraldo, that's because
this is a colonoscopy.
These two sought freedom and privacy in America, and all they've done since they got there is cash in on their royal titles afforded to them by an institution they despise and are trying to ruin, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars constantly trashing their family. You talk about Iraq, Geraldo, and Afghanistan. My brother served in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? And in fact, my brother-in-law taught William and Harry at Sandhurst Military Academy. So I absolutely respect his military service. But if my brother, notwithstanding his heroic war record in Iraq and Afghanistan, went on national television every 10 minutes, dumping all over my family, that would be a very short conversation next time I saw him. You just don't do that kind of thing to families, do you?
Where is the kindness? Where is the
their
sensitivity?
kindness?
When here you have a young couple trying to find their way in extraordinary situations with scrutiny that is so absolutely intrusive they don't have a moment to breathe. Now he is the spare. He is the one that was designated to take over when I understand all that, and I understand the frustration of that. I mean, theoretically, but I really do believe that your lack of kindness to them is laid bare, Piers. You can't have such a visceral viciousness toward them.
Here's the irony.
Geraldo, they're just trying to pave their way in the world.
Here's the irony. My response to them is driven by their serial unkindness and viciousness to the royal family and their deliberate attempts now to not only attack their family, who is a beloved family in this country, but to actually destabilise and potentially bring down the British monarchy. And as a monarchist who loves the royal family
and the
institution,
that is preposterously overstated.
It's their unkindness.
They're not going to bring down the British monarchy.
Well, it might, actually.
They're not going to bring down the British monarchy.
It might.
They will not. Why? What mechanism
I'll tell you why.
will
I'll tell you why.
destroy
Because they're
this centuries-old institution?
Because their constant framing of the royal family as a bunch of nasty, callous racists is beginning to hit home in America. It's hitting home in the Commonwealth. People are believing this. They're not producing any actual evidence to support the racism claims, all the other mental health claims and so on.